I'm Sid, and these are my best friends. My mom, Kim, my dad, Ty, and my sister, Maddie, who before starting her own adventure, joined us in rocking out a state-of-the-art refit on our floating home. Now, we're ready to set sail to die with memories, not dreams, and live dauntless. Hey guys, welcome back. Last week we did a tutorial on how to do an eye splice. If you haven't seen that video already, I will link it in the cards above and also in the description box below, so make sure you check that out. But this week we are going to be putting that eye splicing to good use by putting these lifelines in, which is super exciting. First, we need to install the stanchions and the push pits and pull pits, so let's get into it.
So just like we did the swim ladder on the aft of the boat, anytime we're going to bed any hardware, we bed it in Sika on this boat because, well, that's what the factory did. And to prevent making a huge mess, what I do is I actually put the hardware, I tape off the hole, put the hardware in, then I trace around it with a pencil, and then I pull the hardware out, and then I cut with a razor knife around the pencil line and remove that section of tape. So you can see all these holes in the tape. And then I will apply Sika to the surface, bed the hardware, and then when I wipe off all of the excess Sika, the excess goes onto the tape. Then I clean my finger, pull off the tape, and we have a nice clean, dressed Sika edge so it doesn't have stuff smeared all over the place.
That's the goal.
That's the idea, at least. So the first thing I'm going to do, because it's all the way on the front, is I'm going to bed this pad eye. All right, now if you want to hold this out here, I'm going to do the 4 screws with the nuts on the back side.
4 screws, there's only 3.
3, sorry. Forward.
Okay, ready? Are you tightening or am I?
I'm tightening.
We've gotten a lot of comments lately about the headsets that we've used in past videos. Today we're testing out several different headsets from Crewplex. Stay tuned for a full review and our recommendation in a future video.
All right, so you can mount these 2 different ways. There's alignment holes. We just have to line up the lines coming through with the hole that goes on the outboard side, because that is where the set screw's at. So we start this screw, make sure that we're lined up, and then threads in and just ever so slightly taps into the stanchion. And you gotta give it a talking and to give it up just a little bit. Come on, baby. Brand new stanchions. There we go. There's a little bit of movement on these guys. So we had ordered some shim tape. It's a thin plastic shim that just closes that gap in ever so slightly. But unfortunately I ordered stuff that was too thick. So we'll just unhook the lifelines in the future. We'll lift them out, put the shim tape on the bottom and slide them back in. But I really just want to get them on the boat for now. And that shim tape's a week away, so no sense in delaying the project over something we could easily add later. Go here, and I've got to be able to get that screw in there.
Well, let me see if I can even pull it.
And then when you've got to hold it.
That's some pretty serious force.
Let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, tie that down here and then I'll use my hips. I got this. Are you filming?
Yeah, I want to see you fall in the water. But wait, don't do that with that microphone on.
Maybe I should take this off.
Just in case, yeah. I've got the headset on so I can give you direction if necessary.
Great.
So the only concern is that it may slip off of there,
Well, let me give it a little.
which is not good. Yeah, you're too low. It'll slip right off the bottom. Leverage. It's all about leverage. Oh, yeah.
I could do that.
There. All right.
This is extreme.
It's using your dipstick, Jimmy.
All right, let's see what ties. I don't even know if I can see what you're doing in here.
I can't see what I'm doing. Shit.
What's the matter?
It's like right above my head,
Oh,
but
yeah, I could have told you that.
it's this big vent wraps around and is in the way. All right.
Boat yoga.
Go, Sid.
You see it?
I can't see anything. You're just gonna have to line it up, and we're gonna have to just.
That looks lined up to me.
Okay. Let's see what happens then.
Cross your fingers.
How you doing, Sid?
Okay. I'm getting a cramp.
What'd she say?
So
She's getting a cramp.
I can't tell if it's my quad or my hamstring on my left leg. It's like right in between.
All right. Let it go.
Are we in?
Yeah.
Scary. Be brave. Be brave. Yeah. What are you so nervous about? You see that thermometer? Yeah. I'd be nervous too.
Miss Stella is due for her vaccinations, and we just happened to be introduced to Fran. You've actually seen him before. He's a neighbor of Dave and Colleen's, and he's a veterinarian. So today, she gets her checkup and shots from a friend. How cool is that? Plus, Fran is a sailor as well, so he knows all about the pet visa for the Bahamas. And when we're ready to go, he'll know what Stella needs.
That's the distemper about that.
So she went home and after that, she was fine?
Yeah, she went home and slept and
Well, ate and then
ate
slept.
and then slept. And she woke up a few hours later and was quite a bit more alert. Got some water and then went to bed and slept a full night. So
And she slept in the bed with us, so it's not like she was in, any place where we weren't able to totally monitor.
That's it.
Oh, good girl.
isn't that so yummy? Yeah.
That was it, baby. Good girl.
Okay. Heel. Beeline it for the door.
All right, Stella. We're all good. It's time to go.
Right.
Okay, Ty. Day 3 of our Lifeline install. Please tell me about your challenges and why it's taken us 3 bleep days. Go.
Because it's a 5-minute bow project. That's exactly why. Now, I've been in the sun, but do you like my hat?
That is something special.
Got this at a gas station in Florida on the way to Georgia. And it really does cover everything. So I'm ready to go, I don't know, work in a field somewhere. But we are under the overhang now, so I don't need it. Lifelines, I'm going to show you guys how we're doing lifelines. There's a bunch of different ways. A lot of the DYNEEMA that's used, people do what they call a Bramah lock, which is basically, I won't show you because I'm not using it, but it's do this fancy tuck it in around itself and make this really cool lock deal. However, we need to be able to have access to both ends, and I can only do that on one end, and then the other end will have to have a different splice, and I want them to look the same on both ends. So we're literally just doing a very simple I-splice that where we bury a portion of the line back in to keep it from coming loose, and then I'm doing really more decorative than anything, just a whipping with a black twine around it, and I think it looks pretty snazzy. So I'll show you how that works. First thing I do is I tie off a section with as much tail as I need on one end. Then I come over here and I open up to the full length whatever fitting I'm going to be using. This case we're using a gate lock, but on the front of the boat and the side there's actually just a standard termination. So I put it on, and then I'm going to basically just give a rough measure where this goes, and I come back about 18 inches, and that's going to give me a little bit more line than what I need, but it's good enough for now. So I'm going to take these fancy scissors. You must have special scissors to cut DYNEEMA, and it cuts just like that. I have really, really nice scissors in the galley, and I literally have to hack away at it until it cuts through. So get the good stuff. All right, let's get to it. Now I have my full length, and I am going to measure. I bury for these about 15 inches. You probably should bury a little bit more if this was going to be structural, like you're holding a topping lift or what have you, but this will support easily several thousand pounds, and it doesn't make a big bulky section all the way down the line. So I measure 15 inches, and then I like a 3-inch loop, which gives about 1.5 inches eye on the end. So then I go to 18. And that tells me exactly how big I want that splice to be. So when I fold it over, the 3-inch splice, that's how big the eye is. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this small fid, and I'm going to come back about 6 inches from the end, and I'm going to pick out a few strands every inch or so until I make the tail of this smaller and smaller, and they call that tapering. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right. So now, this is super simple, guys. I am going to bury this tail in this piece of line, and I'm going to put the line in starting here. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I measure this back to the end, and I start a few inches behind it. I push this together. Yeah?
Don't you want to put that around whatever you're looping it through?
Yeah. I put this together. And then I feed this needle all the way to the first mark that I made with the Sharpie. See that mark right there. Now, this is the section of the line that the tail is going to get buried into. I'm going to take this fit again, and I'm going to stick it into here. And that's so that I'll be able to tuck this in after I fit it around the, whatever I'm trying to tie it to. So come on over here. All right, take this here. Gonna loop it through.
to take this line, I just need a little bit of this tail. I'm going to tuck it up to the top, and that's going to hold it in place. Pull this fit out. And then I'm going to slide this bunched earthworm over, and I'm slowly just going to twist it and massage it over until it's inside. Now I push here, which is like a Chinese finger puzzle. When you pull it, it gets tight. When you push it, it gets loose. And I'm going to pull everything all the way through. And now I've got the end. I just take it out. Now everything else is going to be handwork from here. This is the piece that we just pushed through, okay, right here. And I want this dot to line up right here at the entrance. So I basically slide it in till there. And then I, what they call, milk this down until it grabs. Now as I pull the excess on this, this is going to suck on the inside and all become the one rope, and you're never going to see this again. And the reason for the taper is that it, instead of it being fat and then dropping in diameter, it slowly tapers the diameter of the line. Go like this. Just milk this down, and there it goes. And that is it. And that is how you do a simple eye splice on DYNEEMA. All right, so I'm going to milk this out, get it nice and tight. Wear gloves. If you don't have any sailing gloves, go get some. You need your fingertips to be able to grab the little lines and thread needles and what have you, but you need something to keep from chewing up your hands. I did the port side of the boat, and my hands were raw. I really beat them up. All right, so that's it. Now, let me get my stuff together and I'll show you how to do the other side. All right, I've threaded this out to the end so that this threaded rod is just on the inside here. I've got all of this thread adjustment here on the inside, and I want to put this together so it's really just barely hanging on to this post, because DYNEEMA will stretch as you compress it.
And that'll give us the ability to make adjustments.
Correct. We'll make adjustments later. I typically, because I haven't quite figured out the exact measurement yet, and it does change a little bit based on how long the line is. I've noticed the longer the line, the more stretch that we're going to get. And the way that really happens is, if I can show you on this, these fibers are loose. I don't know if you can see that. Mm-hmm. So, and this line is supposed to be 1/4 inch line. Interestingly enough, if you measure it now, it's bigger than a 1/4 inch. As you put tension on this and pull it really tight, what ends up happening when you put a ton of force is, I pull really, really tight, and then it becomes stiff. And you can see that.
Oh yeah, you can see the difference.
You see the difference?
Diameter.
And that's just me pulling by hand. When you really put force on it, it makes it much tighter. And as those fibers collapse, it elongates. So the first time I did this, I had to do it, I think I re-spliced it 5 times. That is the really cool thing about DYNEEMA. You can take the splice immediately out and re-splice it if necessary. I'm going to pull this tight. And when I pull it tight, this is my goal. I'd really like it to be here. I know that's going to be about 1.5 inch loop. Now, this is interesting that's going to happen. If I put this together and I insert this tail now into here, I now have a fixed length. It's going to be too short. Because as the line fattens up, when you put this line inside this line, this has to expand out. And just like when it gets longer, when you stretch it, when you spread it out, it gets shorter. So I've learned that this is my loop. I know where this is going to be. This is my preference right here. I need about another 1.5 to 2 inches down the line after I stretch this by hand to know that it should be pretty close to where I need, maybe even just a little too short. So that's all I do is I take the tape measure that's right behind Kim. I eyeballed it before, but I suppose I should actually check it. So let's do 2 inches. So now what I'm going to do after I taper this line is I'm going to make the loop here. And you're going to see what happens when I do that. I just fucked that up. it gets shorter. I need to make it longer. It needs to go this way. For fuck's sake.
I don't know if you had too much to drink at lunch. He had 2 beers. I'm ratting him out. Or whether you should have more beers.
You're right. Can you get me a beer?
Yeah.
I need to make it longer. So I'm actually going to, instead of it being here, I'm going to loop to here. Okay.
Which mark are you going to go for there, Ty?
I'm going to go, this one, you can sass me all you want. This one's going all the way around. They make this in a bunch of cool colors, and I really like the dark charcoal because it kind of matches the bottom of the boat and the boot stripe. The problem is that it wears off because it is extremely difficult to dye synthetic line. It's kind of like putting gel stain or coloring on top of it. It wears off and it changes color. I bought red and it turns pink, and then my hands turn red when I work with it. So unfortunately, this is the natural color of this is DYNEEMA, or this is actually M Still Blue, which is another version. I'll try to finish before the landscapers are done. Okay. It's like a giant Chinese finger puzzle. Now, it's the right length.
Ta-da!
So now to stretch this, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna pull here. It's gonna loosen a little bit. All right, now I've stretched this out a little bit. Notice the eye has not opened up anymore, but I still have some slack here. So now what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna loosen this up, and I'm slowly going to tighten this down and just give myself a little tighter. Okay.
A little tighter.
A little tighter. The ones on the side and these ones on the back, I'll keep a little tighter. This one I do not want a whole lot of tension on, because if I put a bunch of tension, all it does is flex in the side of the boat on the stanchion on the side, and that really doesn't do me any good. So that's perfect. I'm now going to stitch this and move on to the next one.
Doing a simple long berry splice is an easy way to give your lifelines a quick makeover without breaking the bank or having to wait for someone else to measure and swage fittings. Truly, if you're not reinstalling push pits, pull pits, and stanchions, or taking your puppy to the vet, this is a 1-day and maybe a 3-beer job.